being able to go to another location and another culture and experience the way that they live life that is so different from your own, and the value that that brings to your life is super important. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Welcome back to the Born to Be Local podcast, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of building a business and figuring out life in our 20s. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's the new year. I know we're a little late to an episode. This episode's coming out in February, but you know, we're getting in the groove of things. I feel like the first month of the year is really like figuring out what your schedule is going to be, what vibe you're going into the new year with, and that's what we've been doing. We've been getting our shit together.
Yeah, planning out our whole year, planning out some things we want to do, maybe some trips we want to take, and apparently everyone else is doing that as well.
Yeah, everybody's planning travel, so we thought it'd be the perfect episode to really get into, like, what is the meaning of travel? Why does everyone talk about it? Everyone thinks about it. Everyone's planning, like, what is the true meaning of travel, especially to us as people who own a travel company?
Yes, we've really devoted our lives to planning travel and just everything that involves travel because it has impacted us so greatly. So we're going to get into that today.
Yes, let's do it. So if you don't know who we are Born to Be Local, Born to Be Local Travel. We go by both names. And we started a travel company that focuses on local experiences, like really embracing a culture, seeing everything that's there, trying their food, like really focusing on local experiences.
Yeah, we've immersed ourselves in Guatemala and we'll immerse ourselves in other countries in the future, but really to find the best experiences and be able to offer that to anyone that is going to Guatemala. We're planning trips for them. We're having group trips there. So we really want people to experience the culture of a new country and just get all of the experiences and life experiences that come with traveling.
And I feel like, you know, there's always like the top 5 questions that people ask us just about our life. Like, we accidentally became influencers before we started this travel company, and it's been like our big source of marketing. And I feel like one of the reasons, or one of the things that people always ask us is like, why? Like, yes, everybody loves to travel, but like, why revolve your life and your career and everything around travel in general? And I think that's what we want to talk about today. Like, why is it so impactful, and why would we, you know, I quit my job, she quit everything else, like we started this company, and why would we do that all for something like travel? But I want to like get into just like what travel was like, or what our lives were like before we started traveling, because I feel like I was such a different person before I started traveling. And I know it's a cliche, it's like everyone says like traveling is like really transformative, but it is. There's a reason that people say that, because it is really transformative. And I feel like when I think about like my younger self, like there's always a phase in life where like you really love where you're from and you love your home, and then you hit a particular age and you're like, get me out of here. Mm-hmm. You're like, get me out of here. I want to go out. I want to see things. And for me, I feel like I had like the privilege of traveling a lot when I was younger. I traveled a lot with my parents, and like specifically to Mexico, but it was just like a different type of travel back then. It was like more of the vacation style, to where we kind of like go to one place and hang out there. It was more of that like escape style travel versus like actually seeing a culture. But there was many trips that I was younger that kind of got me interested in like seeing new places and like wanting to get out of my hometown. Did you kind of have that same experience? Like, you travel a little bit? Well, you traveled a lot for your dad's work.
Yeah, but that was all like in the States.
Yeah, but that counts. That counts.
Yeah, I guess that was really out of my control though. And so everywhere we were going, it was like I wasn't really doing a bunch of really cool things. I was just living a normal life there, and like going to a new school and being the new girl, or like being homeschooled. So that like I feel like I got used to moving around a lot. So maybe that is kind of like stuck with me. But I feel like as far as experiencing new cultures and everything was like the first time was maybe in Montreal. The first time I went there, and it was like gorgeous and people are speaking French and it was amazing. And then later on I went to like Mexico with friends, and that was super fun, but it's also like very vacation style.
Yeah.
But you do still get that taste of like what a different culture is like, what a different country is like. So it does kind of open your eyes to that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also different when you're young because it's not really up to you. Like, you're not saying where you want to go. You're not doing the things you want to do. You're kind of following someone else's schedule. So I think once you are a little older and you do get the chance to like go and do something and you're calling the shots, it's a lot different because you're doing it the way that you want to do it.
For sure. I think that's what I mean too, like this vacation style of travel versus like actually experiencing culture, two different things. For me, it wasn't until like really the most memorable trip that I had that like I was like, oh my gosh, my life is gonna involve travel forever, was a trip that I took with my ex to Bali. And it was just the first time that I remember that we really like I had planned the trip. I planned every place we stayed. I did all the research. It's kind of funny when I think about it because I'm like, that is just like the prelude to me being a travel planner now. Like, I fully planned that trip, every hotel, everything, and we had like such an incredible time when we were there. And I just was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to see. This is like one of many places, and I was able to like get this itinerary together for us. But it was the thing that like really opened my eyes to the world. And we'll get more into that too, like what travel means to each other. But like it just like opened my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to take another trip. I can't wait to go see more. I know like people are different. There's a lot of people that don't like to travel. I get the stress attached to it and stuff, but for me that trip was just like an eye opener of like, oh my gosh, first of all, Bali is like so incredible. I could live there too. But it just opened my eyes to wanting to travel more and see other cultures and like experience the way that people live.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is seeing how other people live in other parts of the world. It's like my first trip to Barcelona, that was like my first trip overseas. And I always refer back to that trip because that was when things really changed for me. And that's when I knew that I always wanted to travel. I'm like, okay, now I need to see the rest of the world. And I've stuck to that. I'm really trying to see the rest of the world. And I think just the first time you go out and you're like, wow, people are just living their life like this with like all of these beautiful buildings around them and then like the beach right here and going to dinner at 9 p.m. and like these bars and clubs, and it's just a totally different life. And I'm like, I can't believe people have just been living like this. Like, what are we doing in the States? You know, like it was just so eye-opening, and it really just, it sparks something in you. If you got the travel bug, you know what I'm talking about. It just really like ignites a fire to where you want to see how more people in the world live. You want to see more differences in the world.
Okay, if you had to define travel as a concept, not the literal word, but like as a concept, how would you define it?
That's a good question. I think I would define it as exploring like new discovery about yourself and the world. I think you're just discovering so much, you're experiencing such new things, and it changes you as a person. It really does. And you go out and you travel somewhere and you have all of these amazing memories, and then you come back to wherever you're from, or you come back to your regular everyday life, and it's like you fit those new versions of yourself into who you are at home, and you really are just like a different person. Like, you go about your days differently. You have a new like perspective on life, and that sounds cheesy, but it's so true. Like, every time I travel, I come back a different person with, you know, different friends and like new friends, new memories. So I think that is really, it's just new discovery about everything.
I would define it as the art of discovering how people live, or like the art of living, really, but discovering the art of living. So like, to me, I feel like one of the most important parts of travel, is being able to go to another location and another culture and experience the way that they live life that is so different from your own. And the value that brings to your life is super important. And I'm not talking about like going to rural areas and being like, I'm so grateful for the way that I live. I mean the actual opposite, going to places and being like, I can't believe I live this way. I want to start living this way. This is a much better way to think about things. And I think, you know, if I think about something specific for me, like moving to Guatemala and experiencing Guatemalan culture and what the lifestyle is like here, how people eat, how they say hi to each other in the streets, like the things that they focus on, the things that they don't, really was so impactful to me as a person, aside from my career job, because I was able to really sort out all the bullshit of life and be like, that stuff does not matter at the end of the day. Like, why is it only that when we travel, we're able to like let go of all the stress and everything? Like, bring that into your everyday life. And when you experience other cultures, you see that they are doing that. Like, even a lot of European culture, like, people always talk about how, you know, the Europeans are doing it right. Like, they're eating dinner late, they're partying, they're drinking all the time, they're having a good time, but they're also successful and they work. And there's a reason for that. And I think it has to do with values of particular cultures. And that makes the difference for me. Like, seeing Guatemalan culture in particular, and like, coming from Orange County and being in a place that, for me, my experience was just like, it was incredibly materialistic. The values are off there. Like, we're not valuing the things that matter in life. We're valuing everything that doesn't. Money, power, looks, like everything. And I felt that pressure, especially when I was living there, like up until 25 years old. I just felt that like immense pressure of societal, you know, I need to look a particular way. I need to find a husband by this time. I need to have kids by this time. And then you go travel somewhere else and they're like, no, actually, it's like, it's good. Like, you could do something else and that's okay. You can have kids later. You can be a boss woman. You can be a housewife if you want. Like, all these things are okay. You don't need to look a particular way. Like, let's focus on what matters in life. And that is like such an eye-opening experience that you can have when you travel.
Yeah, definitely. And those are things that will always stay with you. Like, the way that we've changed from living in Guatemala and like our everyday lives and how we greet people in the streets, like that will be with me forever. I want to take that into every place that I live in and every person that I meet. Like, this place really has shaped me so much. And yeah, I think it's very important to get out of your comfort zone and like your daily environment wherever you are. Like, for me, California or Orange County is like very materialistic. For you, for me, like Louisiana and the small town that I'm from, everyone was very comfortable. Very comfortable. No one's like going out and solo traveling and like doing all these crazy things or moving to Guatemala. And, you know, like I guess I'm a little oddball in that equation. But, you know, it's just like being around that comfortability. It's easy to just stay there, but you don't change if you stay there. And I think that's in any environment that you're in for a long time, like where you grew up or whatever. But, you know, I always would look around and be like, everyone's just like living their everyday life with like, you know, doing the same thing every day. Like, why isn't anyone going and doing something crazy? You know, like I just wanted to go do something crazy. So yeah, I think that kind of just really makes your life so much bigger, is getting out and experiencing what's going on outside of your environment.
Life is incredibly uncomfortable. And if you can really like take the piece of advice, like get used to the uncomfortable or be comfortable with the uncomfortable, I think it's the most important piece of advice. Like, nobody's life is perfect, is seamless. You're not happy all the time. That is but a feeling you can have. And I think that travel forces you to be uncomfortable, but in a really positive way, and to a point that you learn so much. And I know for me, like, even when I think back on the person that I used to be, and just, I loved living in Orange County. I love the Orange County life. Like, I always had this like innate desire to see more, do more, experience more. And I would have that same feeling where I was looking around like, oh my gosh, everybody's doing the same thing every day. Mm-hmm. Everybody's okay with going to the same places every weekend, seeing the same people, like knowing that there's so much out there. And through travel, you know, like you realize there's all these types of people out there. You're like, I want to meet more people, different cultures, like different things. And being stuck in that place of comfortability forces you to not do those. Like, you're not meeting people, and it is really difficult to grow, in my opinion, when you are in an environment that's the same all the time. Like, travel forces you to be in such a different environment. It questions it makes you question things about the world, and it also makes you question things about yourself, so that when you do go back to your comfortable place, you're like, oh, I can handle a situation like that. Like, I can handle a situation with friends like this. Like, it actually teaches you really valuable lesson. And that comfortability, I think, especially in your 20s, like comfortability, because the 20s is a very uncomfortable time. I feel like I see a lot of people in their 20s, and me included in my early 20s, like um not wanting to like go out and solo travel or whatever because I'm afraid and there's so much going on and you're trying to grow and find yourself. But this is like the perfect time, the absolute perfect time to be traveling, when you're going through that like discovery phase. And I'm glad, even in, I'm still in my 20s, okay? I'm still in my mid to late 20s, but I turned 28 this year, and I still am wanting to like do solo travel trips and travel more with friends to other places and stay in hostels and like have that experience, because it changes you. Like, it's an exciting thing to be like, not only do I go get to see this culture and experience a new place, but I know I'm going to learn something about myself coming out of this trip, and having fun while doing it. Like, things go wrong. Yes, that's a part of travel, but that's a part of life. And I think like if you accept those and you're like, okay, I may go through something while I'm traveling, but at least I'm traveling while doing it. It's a much better way to like learn a life lesson than having people in your hometown tell you that you're doing things wrong, or you shouldn't be doing this, or you should live life this particular way.
Yeah, definitely. And like getting out and traveling makes you realize that your problems at home maybe aren't even problems. Some of them, everyone has their issues and deals with things. And yes, like not trying to minimize that, but sometimes just getting out of it, you realize how consumed you can be with like the little things that really don't matter. So I think it can just shift your whole mindset. And also, like when things go wrong with travel, it's really like, okay, I got robbed right in front of my face in France. You were there in front of our faces, got robbed. Purse was stolen. We've talked about that. Am I going to let that ruin my trip? My phone, my cards, ID, everything was gone. Everything was gone. We still had like 3 weeks of travel left. I'm not going to be able to take pictures and videos on my phone. That sucked. But I didn't let it ruin my trip, like you kind of have to just roll with it and decide like, okay, well, I'm in France, like I'm still going to have a good time. I'm still going to have fun. Like you really just have to go with the flow of life and just move on when shitty things happen. And I think that just applies to everything in life and your life at home. When you go back home, it's like, okay, like I was robbed in France and I had a good time. This little thing is happening at work or whatever. Like, I'll be fine. I can make it through.
Yeah. And, there's something that people say about travel that really, really irks my nerves, which is like, oh, people travel to like escape their reality. I could not agree less with that statement. I think that is like such a narrow-minded statement, in my opinion. I think travel is not about escape. It's about discovery. It's about learning more. Yes, I think people utilize travel as an opportunity to like get outside of their comfort zone, but I don't think it's escape. Like I said, I think sometimes you travel, you come back and you're like, I really appreciate what I have and I'm so thankful for what I have. And sometimes you come back and you're like, you know what? I want to change that. But I don't think that's escapism. I think it's a form of just really like opening up to the world and letting your world open up a bit and become larger than just your hometown or where you're from or the few places that you've traveled before. Like, new places are exciting, they teach you things, and I think it's not about escapism. Like, nothing about what we do, especially like our career, was about escaping. I think that sometimes, like, even if there's family things going on or whatever that I'd like to get away from, I want to get away from it because I need to be removed from it to get a new perspective, so that when I do come back to it, I have a new appreciation and a new approach to how I handle those situations. Like, it's not an escape. It's just I need time to like try and figure out how to handle that situation better, because I know in that particular environment I can't. And then I go somewhere and I'm like, okay, actually we're good. Yeah, actually I can handle you because I did this today. I went and I saw an active volcano, and when it was erupting, my mind was just like, oh, never mind. That's not that big of an issue. Life is beautiful, and now I can handle you.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder, you know, and you really just need to be removed and know that this life is so beautiful. So, like, let's just be happy, okay?
Yeah, honestly, you
Let's
guys.
just be happy.
Like, just be happy. It's not that hard, just be happy. As two women approaching, you know, the end-er side of their 20s, one would say we're wrapping up the 20s.
Oh, no.
One would say. We personally don't say. But one would say turning 28 and 29 this year, we are approaching an end line that is potentially our 20s. And why, you know, it's one of the reasons that we shaped our travel company the way that we did, even though we don't specifically just have clients like in their 20s. It's one of like the leading inspirations to this company, which is how important it is to travel in your 20s. And I want to take it back, okay? I want to take it back to Gabrielle in high school, incredibly in love, and in a codependent relationship, but having the time of her life, but in a codependent relationship. And I was a different person. I was very in love. I thought I was going to marry that person. I thought I was going to have babies with that person. And I thought my life was already planned out.
6 years together.
Yes. Over 6 years together. It was a long time. Long time. But I really think back on that version of myself. And I started dating this person when I was 16 up until like 21. And I was just terrified of being alone. I was terrified of the experience of being alone, not just once I got out of that relationship, but the idea of like getting out there to go travel or anything. Like that idea was such a foreign thing to me because I'd never experienced it before. Might I add, like COVID happened, so it made it difficult, obviously, with the travel portion of it. But in any capacity, like I was afraid to be alone. Like I just think, especially in American culture, I find that this constant pressure of like having a boyfriend, having a husband, having somebody, is really the drive to this like feminist movement of independent women who maybe don't get married and have kids and all this stuff without a man, because I think there's such an innate pressure to be the woman that like revolves her life around men. And I always hated that. Even when I was in a relationship, I hated that concept. But it wasn't until I was out of that relationship that I realized like, oh, I am extremely codependent and I don't like to be alone. And from that point until this point at 27, I have like made it my mission to really be comfortable with being alone. And one of the cures to said problem has been travel. Travel and solo travel in particular for women in your 20s. I seriously cannot drill this enough. It is the most important thing you could do in your 20s. If you ask anybody that isn't in their 20s that solo traveled in their 20s, I guarantee you they will not say, I don't recommend that. It didn't do anything for me. Like they will say how impactful it was. And again, like I'm still in my solo travel journey. Like I'm still wanting to do that. Even as I enter my 30s, I want to start solo traveling more. But I mean, preferably with Aaron. Solo travel with Aaron. But solo traveling as well.
Travel with Aaron.
Yeah, this doesn't count as solo travel when we're together. No, but solo traveling, just those experiences, or traveling in general with a friend that also wants to get out there, like it's so impactful during your 20s. We're talking specific to women right now. So guys, maybe fast forward to the end of this episode, because for women in particular, again, this concept of like the pressure of where you need to be at particular points in life and your 20s being such a like transformative time, it's the perfect time to throw in something that catches you off guard and teaches you new lessons.
Yeah, definitely. You need that. I remember on, again, this first trip to Barcelona, I was in a relationship, very in love. But honestly, I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, this is getting to be too much for me, because it was a very toxic relationship, you know? So when I was there, I was having such an incredible time. And the only thing that was going wrong with my trip was my boyfriend at home. Calling me, trying to argue with me, texting me paragraphs, how he's like gonna break up with me, and just like ruining my trip. I'm like, my friends are hanging out by the pool, like laying in the sun, and I'm on the phone arguing with you. What am I doing? Broke up with him on that trip, actually. On that trip. And I'm so glad I did that, because that really, I was like, that just really put things into perspective of like, my problems that I have at home don't need to be problems. Like, oh, I can break up with him, boom, problem gone. Like, you know? Because
watch out if you come into her life, she'll cut you out real quick.
I mean, really, like, he was ruining my time. And then once I decided, you know, like, we're not doing this anymore, we're done, we'll talk about it when I get home, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my trip. My trip was fantastic. And I was immediately like, okay, 6 months later, I'm going back. I'm going back to Europe. I'm doing a solo trip. And I'm so glad that I did that and took that initial jump to take my first solo trip when I was 20, and like, just I'm so proud of myself for having like the confidence to do that. I didn't really have the confidence to do that at all, but I was just like, I knew I needed to get back. And that trip really gave me the confidence and the trust in myself to continue to do that. And then like two years later, I moved to California by myself. And I really believe that like I don't think I would have moved away from Louisiana, like away from my hometown so soon if I hadn't had solo traveled so much before. That really gave me like the courage, and just like knowing that, okay, I've been to all of these different countries by myself. I've solo traveled for a month in Europe by myself. Like, I can go places alone and have fun and make friends and like do things on my own. Like, I'm good on my own. So that really showed me like, okay, moving to another state, like, I'll be fine. Like, I'll totally be okay. And that was the best decision I ever could have made for myself. And I don't know if I would have made it as soon as 22, 23 years old if I didn't do all of the traveling that I did before and like doing it by myself. So that was so extremely important in my 20s. And I'm just so thankful that I did that. And if you have the chance to do it, you have to. You have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you ask me what my biggest regret in life is so far, I really only have one, and it's not traveling more when I was, like, from the age of really 18 to, like, 25. Not traveling more during that time. Now, and when I turned 25, did I end up moving out of the country, traveling to 12 countries all in the span of a year? Yes. And I'm thankful for that, because I really made up for lost time. But I think there's something, especially, like I said, that 20 to 25, like the beginning of your 20s, where it's so transformative and you're making that switch in your head of like, oh, no longer child, becoming adult, that when you are that young, because that's extremely young. When you're extremely young from 20 to 25, and then you're still young from 25 to 30, it really opens your eyes. And every time because we meet people all over the world all the time, and a lot of backpackers and stuff, just in the nature of what we do. And every time I talk to them, I think to myself, you're so cool. Because like, at the time, I could never. Now I could, and I wish that I just did it. And really, if you're specifically female or a guy, and you've been thinking about traveling, and you see all the hype about travel, and you're like, I want to know what it's about, but I'm too afraid. How could I do that by myself? You can. Free will. You're an adult. I'm sure you can do it. It's just a matter of making the decision and being like, okay, I'm going to do this. And really, again, like, that's why we wanted to start what we do. We actually work with a lot of solo travelers for our travel company, because I know that there's like that element of travel, the mystery of like, you know, you see people and they don't have their stay booked and they don't know where they're going next. I'm not that type of person. I want to be clear about that. I will plan stuff in advance, but I'm still going to go experience it solo or experience it with a friend. And that's why we like started what we did, because we know that part of travel can be really nerve-wracking, and I get it, but I still want everybody to experience the power that travel has to like open up your mind to the world, and especially in your 20s and beyond. Like, you learn how you like to travel in your 20s, I like to say, and then starting in your 30s, it's when you really start checking off the places that you've always wanted to see, and in the way that you want to see them. Like, I feel like I know the type of traveler I am now. I know that I like some stuff planned in advance. I don't like the mystery of not knowing everything. That's okay. You're still getting that like incredible experience of travel.
Yeah. And in your later 20s, early 30s, whatever, you have a little bit more money, okay? We're not doing like hostel backpacking. You there's no correct time to start solo traveling. You can start whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever. We just highly recommend you do it as soon as possible.
Yes. Start traveling as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Travel forever and hire us to plan your travel. That's the key part. But really, like, travel your whole life. We just really, obviously, this podcast is directly to people in your 20s because we're still in our 20s. Thank God. Thank God. We're really approaching the end here, but this podcast is specifically for people in your 20s, this episode, to just really hopefully inspire you to, yes, this is dramatic. It's cliche. You see it all over Instagram, but we mean it. Like, take the trip. It doesn't have to be Guatemala. It doesn't have to be with us. Go anywhere that you're curious about, that you want to see. Like, don't worry so much about the safety or like all that stuff. Like, that's stuff you figure out along the way. Obviously, like, do your research and try and stay in safe places. Like, it's good to do research before, but I think that the figuring it out part of travel is when you completely transform as a person.
Definitely.
We always get a positive response on our rapid fire sections because it's the biggest shock about the episode. We ask each other questions that we don't know what we're going to ask. So we're going to do another rapid fire section today specific to travel. We don't know what we're asking each other, but that's the fun of it.
Wait, you don't look.
Didn't see anything. I don't have my glasses on.
You just look fully at my phone.
I literally don't have my glasses on. I can barely see anything.
Okay. I'm nervous.
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, I'll question you first.
Okay. Give us a countdown.
3, 2, 1. If you could go on a solo trip right now, where would you go?
Japan.
Oh, good one. One destination you have no desire to go back to.
Montenegro.
Okay.
You didn't ask for an explanation, and I won't give one. It's another episode.
Schedule and planned days or figure it out as you go.
I am a happy medium, but if I had to choose one, I would say schedule the days. I don't like to miss things.
Okay. Your ideal solo trip versus your ideal trip with friends.
So I actually think beach towns are good for solo trips, and cities are good with friends.
Love that.
I want both, but that's kind of my rule of thumb.
I agree. Have you ever cried in public while traveling because of stress?
Not because of stress. I cried in the airport when I left Guatemala the first time. Because I was so sad to leave.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's something you'll never do again while traveling, no matter how cheap?
I hate paying an obscene amount of money to get into clubs. Knowing that I can finagle, fladoodle my way into a club via the power of being a woman, I will never pay again.
That's a good one. Yeah. How has travel changed? Oh, wait, sorry. Has travel changed how you define home?
Absolutely. I now think that home is a feeling. It's really dramatic, but I genuinely think there's something that changes within you when you experience a place enough times that it can feel like home.
Love it. If you could say anything to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
20-year-old?
Yeah. Or like 20, 21, 22. Early 20s.
You're gonna be okay not being in a relationship, and you need to go travel yesterday.
What did travel force you to admit about yourself?
I think that travel really has taught me to like love myself more in many ways. It put a mirror in front of my face of like how internally rude I am to myself.
Good one. Biggest safety rule you've broken while solo traveling?
All of them. Oh, solo traveling? Oh, I got on a motorcycle with a stranger, and it did in fact end up in almost my death, so.
Okay. That was 10. Yay.
Okay.
Rapid fire is not my strong suit.
Her rapid fire is not rapid, it's more of like a... It's
slow burn.
It's more of a slow fire. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Worst food poisoning in a foreign country.
Oh my gosh. You know, I've actually been very lucky. I haven't gotten food poisoning in another country, but I did get food poisoning from Mexico and suffered in California.
She won't eat tamales because of it.
Still to this day, can't do it.
Okay. Very important. I think I've asked you this before, but I forget. Window or aisle?
It depends. Aisle for a longer flight, window for a shorter flight.
Okay. A country that completely surprised you?
Ooh, Guatemala. I mean, yeah.
Period. What travel taught you about yourself that nothing else could?
Oh my gosh. How, probably how adaptable I am in new environments and like meeting new people.
Yeah.
I think very adaptable.
Yes or no to seeing bars in every country you travel to?
Yes. What?
A moment while traveling that made you feel really small, but in a good way.
Oh. Probably being in Japan and like going across all of those like the famous crosswalks and everything and just seeing so many people living their own lives and I'm just a speck on this earth.
One thing you always splurge on when you travel?
I guess food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. What's a belief you had before traveling that you no longer have?
Oh. That's interesting. Maybe that, I don't know. A belief I had before traveling.
You could also think of like the younger version of yourself before that you like no longer have that belief. Maybe it's like a thing about life that you used to think and now you don't think that anymore.
Well, yeah, I used to think that I was escaping when I traveled because other people would tell me that. They're like, "Why are you leaving so much? Why, like, what are you escaping?" And I'm like, "Am I trying to escape something? What am I like, you know, it got me confused."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What am I doing?" And then the more I traveled, I was like, "Why? I'm not escaping anything. I just freaking love seeing the world and meeting new people. Like, sue me."
God.
Yeah.
One thing you always forget to pack.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes my toothpaste, because like I brush my teeth before I leave and then I just leave my toothpaste.
She
there.
always forgets toothpaste and floss.
A floss. I buy a lot of floss.
She is Floss's biggest fan. If travel had one job in your life, what would you say it's been?
My teacher, my life coach.
And that concludes the rapid fire. Travel is not going to solve all the problems in your life, but it is going to give you just an incredible perspective that's going to help you with all the things that happen in life.
Yeah, definitely will help you navigate your daily life that you go back home to and just give you a new perspective, a new outlook on everything.
Yes. If you are listening to this podcast and you made it to the end of the episode and you're thinking about going somewhere or you want an opinion about something or you want to share a story with us, we love hearing your guys' stories. Please send us a DM on boredtobelocal.pod on Instagram. You can also DM us on TikTok. We'd love to hear your guys' stories. And if you have any suggestions or things you want us to talk about on this podcast, we already got a schedule going. We're going to be more consistent this year. And yeah, just get out there and travel. It doesn't have to be Guatemala, but it could. It doesn't have to be, but it might. Mm-hmm. And that would be good too.
Yeah. And you know who to call, you know who to DM. You got 2 friends in Guatemala that can help you out. So
yes, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.